We are talking about The Flash this week, and we will start off with a couple minutes of non spoilers, and then we'll dive into spoilers. But as you probably know, The Flash is a continuation of the DC EU Snyderverse adjacent series and is an adaptation of the Flashpoint comic book in which Barry Allen, the Flash, travels back in time to save his mother's life. But, butterfly effect. His actions cause consequences in the present. And so he comes back and the world is different. Oh no. And he's got to solve the problem. Stars Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calais, Kiersey Clemens, Michael Shannon, Ben Affleck, Maribel Verdú, Ron Livingston, and the unwilling spirits of the dead.
Yep. Which we will
we'll
get into
more
later.
into that later. Directed by Andres Muschietti. What are your overall thoughts on The Flash, Niles?
When we first left the movie theater, because we watched this together just the other week, I was definitely mostly positive on it at first, but I'm feeling more lukewarm on it as time kind of goes on, and it feels to me like it was slightly underwhelming, with all the build up to it. And I think this thing has been in production for so many years at this point, between the writing and everything. So it's like, it's just taken a lot of time, and this is the finished product. So it's like, it's just a little underwhelming to me,
To put that into perspective, that last note, this movie was announced just after the pilot of the TV show, The Flash, and the TV show, The Flash, just ended after 9 seasons, like a month or two ago.
I had no idea it was that long.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time. And I did not like this very much at all. There were a couple of solid moments and solid elements, and there were some concepts that I liked in theory, but in practice did not work in this movie. In, a movie with maybe a couple other drafts or a lead actor who has not just gone on a violent crime spree, including assault and alleged kidnapping, maybe I would have liked it more. But that is the hand that we've been dealt with this movie, and it does color the experience. We don't have to dwell on it too much, but we do need to address the Ezra Miller in the room. They have been a fucking menace for the state of Hawaii over this last year. Several years ago, they put a fan in a chokehold and threw them to the ground in the middle of a department store. A lot of the time you say evaluate art on its own merits, right? But I think it's important when the lead actor has suffered no consequences for violent crime over the last couple of years. So
yeah, it is tough to separate it when the artist has such notoriety and people know about things that they've done, things that they said. I've had to grapple with this concept myself with many of my favorite artists over the years. All of a sudden they turn out to be the worst person you ever imagined, and you're like, damn, this sucks. And I'm not saying that's what Ezra is at all, but it's like it does taint your view of the film and the media.
Yeah, as far as we know, they're not super bigoted like a J.K. Rowling or a Kanye or something. They're just doing violent crimes and the like. And look, I will say too, I hope they get the help they need. It seems like they're going through some shit. I hope they get it sorted out, but they need to maybe go to jail for a little bit too. But beyond all of that, I don't particularly like Miller as Barry. And this could be just because I used to be a fan of the Flash TV show on the CW. I fell off that ages ago, but I really liked Grant Gustin's portrayal. And Ezra Miller has just kind of been grating for me even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I overall liked. I don't really like Miller's performance. So if you like Miller as Barry, you may have a totally different perspective and enjoy this a lot more.
I think that is kind of one area where you and I do differ, because I enjoy Ezra Miller as the Flash, especially in the past films that he's been in. He's always played this role of comic relief. Yes, thank you. They've always played this role as comic relief, and I feel like they do really well with that role. And I don't know. I really like their portrayal of the character. But yeah, I think overall this film, it's not as impressive as I would have hoped it to be. And
No.
Everyone's talking about it online, like every kind of article that's written about the Flash. There's always this excerpt about the CGI or the VFX, because there are some pretty terrible points and some unnecessary things that they throw in with the CGI and VFX. And I think you and I are on the same page about that. And I feel like a lot of people too is like, why did you do this?
Yes. And just Andy Muschietti, the director, has said that a lot while Barry's in the Speed Force, a lot of the CGI he sees in those sequences is meant to look a little bit off kilter, because we're seeing it from his perspective while he's on Speed Force. And no, it's just unfinished. And if it was a deliberate choice, it was a poor creative choice, because you made a decision that made your work look unfinished. And if there was like a time or money thing, that's one thing, but there are lots of different things you can do to distort imagery of people when a character is in the Speed Force. You don't have to make it look like half-baked CGI. But you do have a note here that I think is right on the money. This film could not have come out at a worse time for its own sake. Good Lord.
Absolutely. Like, we just had two of the best superhero films, like two of the best films in the genre, with Across the Spider-Verse, which we just reviewed. So go check out that episode. And we also reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So please go check out those episodes. But, those two, I think, unequivocally across the fan bases of both of those films and just the superhero fan base in general, I think everyone agrees that those two are top tier. Those are some of the best products ever made in the genre, and it's going to be hard to beat them. And the Flash literally comes out like
2 weeks later,
after these films hit, and everyone's seen them, and it's just like, by comparison, automatically, this film is inferior. It's weaker than the other two.
And we have, I think, reached a point in this genre where 4 or 5 years ago, superhero movie comes out, it's making $800 million to $1.5 billion. That's not the case anymore. People are picking and choosing which of these they see. Ant-Man Quantumania was not very good and did not do very well. Black Adam, allegedly not very good, didn't do very well. This not very good, didn't do very well. But things like Spider-Verse are crushing it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is doing really well as well. Not as well as previous entries or previous Marvel movies, but I think a lot of people would say, oh, this is doom for the genre. I think it's the opposite. This is the best thing that could happen to the superhero genre, because now the studios realize, oh, we can't just pump out whatever garbage. Oh, hi, Shadow. There's my dog. Look at him go.
Hey, Shadow.
They now have to try. They aren't guaranteed to make money off of these anymore, which is good. But and like I said a second ago, there are good ideas at play in parts of this movie, and we'll touch on those specifically in spoilers. But there is like a student mentor dynamic between the two Barrys that's in the trailer, and that should work. For me, it doesn't, but I think that's more because I don't like Ezra Miller as an actor, at least in this character. So it's like, not only am I seeing a performance I don't like, I'm seeing it twice. A second Ezra Miller has hit the state of Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh God, what a dark joke. Well, I love that. Well, and there's good humor in this film too. I feel like that there's some good jokes sprinkled in there, and like but yeah, and there's some good unique characters too, I would say. So I would agree that there's some good ideas, some good things, but then there's also some bad things that really just kind of let you down, like the CGI, the fan service elements too. There's some plot holes, but there's plot holes in every superhero film, and the plot holes don't really matter because this whole concept is ridiculous. So whatever.
Yeah, I will say I thought Keaton was all right. I've just seen the Keaton Batman movies for the first time a few months ago, but it was fun. And Supergirl, I thought while I thought she's very underused, she is one of the stronger elements of the film, and I hope that we get to see. I hope she gets to keep playing her, because I think she can be really good, and there's no reason not to bring her over into James Gunn's new iteration of DC. Because if you didn't know, all this shit's getting wiped, and James Gunn is launching a new creative initiative for the DC films. We can talk about more of that later. But do you have any final thoughts before spoilers?
No, let's dive on in.
All right. Would you? Well, I guess would you recommend this movie?
Oh, good. I think if you're looking for like a fun film on a Sunday afternoon and you're into superhero media, yeah, I'd recommend this movie. Not going to recommend this to everybody, though. I think it has its kind of time and place, and especially when there's so many better superhero movies being produced, it's tough to recommend this over those ones, you know?
Yeah. I would even say, like, if you're looking for a fun movie on an afternoon and like superhero movies, go watch it Across the Spider-Verse again. I like that movie is excellent and deserves your money more than this does. It's you'll be able to watch this on HBO Max in a month. It's not very good. And yeah, it's just kind of a fucking mess. But let's get into spoilers so we can talk about it more.